Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Simi. I'm an immigration consultant here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. For those who are new to our YouTube video, welcome. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share. We do provide a lot of information regarding immigration programs, different pathways people can come to Canada, and also we do provide some tips that you may use for your applications. Having said that, please note that whatever information that we share on here is not to be construed as a legal advice. It is only for information purposes only and can be found anywhere on the internet if you do some research about it. So today I'm gonna be talking about the public policies that were released yesterday by immigration. So in total, just to give you an update, in total, if you do see me looking all there, I just have the policies open just because there's a lot of information and requirements, so I might be going on just to read from the website to provide more accuracy for you guys. So yesterday the immigration provided about 6 different pathways that foreign nationals in Canada can apply for permanent residency, and this pathway is a very good thing for especially international students and essential workers, French-speaking foreign nationals in Canada, because it provides them with the pathways to apply for permanent residence without necessarily having the work experience that is required, 1 year work experience in some cases for the international students. So I'm just going to go into details as to what this policy entails. For the purpose of time, I might not be able to go into details of everything because it's quite a lot of information, and if I were to talk about it, it would take about maybe like 2 hours. So I'm gonna start with, generally speaking, what was brought out. So this pathway is definitely to cater to at least 90,000 people. So 90,000 people immigration is looking at. If you remember from our previous videos, we had talked about the immigration cap that the Canada is looking at, immigration for people to come into Canada, the permanent residences, how to increase the economy, right? And we'll see that basically a lot of things that has happened this year is basically to support the admissions of new permanent residents that Canadian immigration is looking to invite to Canada or to bring welcome to Canada. So the target in November 2020, Canadian immigration said that they announced a target of 401 admissions of new permanent residents in 21. So they're looking to get to invite at least 401 permanent residents in 2020 and in 2021, and we know that there is still COVID. If you're in Canada, and particularly I live in Ontario, you still know that we're currently in lockdown. So a lot of things that definitely we see would impact these goals. So in anticipation of that, immigration is trying to do everything they can to make things easier for international students, French-speaking nationals, essential workers who are at the front line of this COVID pandemic, and trying to make things easier. So if immigration is trying to look for people to come into Canada and bring, add to the economy, what better way to start this process than to look into the country and provide opportunities for people who have already put in their time, their effort, their money, and they've learned the culture of Canada, basically. So, and which is what you see that Canada is trying to do. Having said that, it doesn't mean that for foreign workers who are looking to still come into Canada, there might not be anything happening for you. We know that there hasn't been any draw for foreign skilled workers, particularly since December 2020. Having said that, my suggestion to everyone is just make sure you're doing everything that you can to still get, so that when the time comes and there's a draw, you are not missing, from the game, right? So you want to make sure that you're still sharpening your skills, whatever it is that you need to do. If you have to learn French, I would say you should do that. Caregiver program is still on there. The new policy that came up today was about caregiver program. The immigration is also trying to finalize some of those applications this year. So there's still different opportunities for people to tap into. So I would just say that don't get discouraged if you're not in Canada and you see all of these new policies that are benefiting Canadians or in Canada applicants. So don't get discouraged. Still do what you have to do. Get more skills, get more knowledge. And I'm sure once immigration looks at everything overview, they will start looking at foreign workers as well to contribute to the economy. Having said that, let's go into the public policy that was released yesterday. So like I said, the target is too far end. In February, there was at least 25,000 people that were invited. And now we're seeing 90,000 people that are still being targeted to for permanent residency. So the goal is still very far-fetched. So there's still definitely more opportunities. If we've gone at the moment we go through this program and you still feel like you might not qualify, that's okay. Still relax, get all you can. And I'm sure that there will still be new policies that will be released as time goes on. We're only still in April, so there's no need to panic, no need to worry if you do not meet this requirement. You can still get into some of those programs that you can see that is in demand. So for example, like the caregiver programs, the personal support workers, health workers in general, you should start to tap into that. So I'm going to be going into the foreign policy force, particularly for those with recent credentials from a Canadian post-secondary institution, and I will just basically talk about the eligibility requirements in general. So one of the things that the different requirements that are under this particular program. So and I'll take them one by one. The foreign national, I'm reading from the website, just in case you're wondering. The foreign national has to have completed the education, so have completed prior to the date on which the application for permanent residence is received, and no earlier than January 2017, a program of study at one of the designated learning institutions. So we've always come across the designated learning institution and what that means. It's the same term. It has to be a designated learning institution. It cannot be an institution that immigration does not recognize. So for more understanding of whether or not the school that you are currently obtaining your education from is designated, is considered a designated learning institution, you can look into our link below and you will see the link of schools that are recognized for designated learning institution. Also keep in mind that one thing that they refer to is that your education has to have been obtained at least no earlier than January 2017. So if you got your education, your credentials December 2016, you would not qualify. So it has to be, the only thing is that we do not know whether it's January 1st or January 31st. All we know from here on is that it's January 2017. So if you have gotten your education, we would go into details as to what kind of education is required here. Then if you've gotten your education, the next step is to see whether that education you've gotten even qualifies. Now, keep in mind that a lot of these things we're still talking about, we're amongst ourselves, consultants, lawyers, we're still trying to figure out what immigration really means by some of the requirements they put on here. So as soon as we get more information, we'll be sure to put it on our Instagram page. If you're not following us on Instagram, please follow us on Instagram, because that's usually our first point of contact for information purposes. So like I said, now the type of education that immigration considers under this pathway is that it has to have been a degree, so either a bachelor's, a master's, an associate's, or doctorate degree, which is at least for a period of 8 months or more, longer. The other thing is that the degree or diploma or attestation issued on completion of a program of any duration leading to an occupation in skilled trade. For this particular section, it has to have been a skilled trade degree, a skilled trade occupation. So for a list of what skilled trade means, you can look at the link that we'll post below. Again, that will provide the occupations that are qualified under this particular section of the requirement. So if you've gotten a diploma or a certificate or an attestation for a skilled trade, then you will be good to go for this particular pathway, provided you also meet all the other requirements. The other thing is that for diplomas, now this is where we get a lot of confusion, and we're still hoping that immigration will provide more clarity as to what this means, and we hope that that will be before May 6th, which is when this program would officially be open. One or more diploma certificate attestation where the following conditions are met. For diploma certificate attestation, each program of study must be at least 8 months in duration, and the combined length of the credential must be equivalent to a 2-year credential, at least 16 months in duration. So obviously this is where the confusion, everybody wants to know, for those, especially those who have enrolled in a 1-year program, would they qualify? So I personally think that you should still be able to qualify. Having said that, the general consensus is that you may not qualify. That's also because from the way this policy is worded, it seems to me that you had to have like 2-year program, or you have to get like a diploma or a degree that is at least of 16 months in total. For you to meet that eligibility requirement. Again, we're still trying to find out whether or not, if you have a 1-year diploma or 1-year certificate, you might qualify. We're still trying to find that out, and I do hope that immigration, when more clarification is provided, that you would still qualify if you're in that boat. The other thing is that for the DVs and AVs, that's for Quebec people, each program of study must be at least 900 hours in duration, and the combined program of study must be at least 1,800 hours in duration. You have to have been authorized to work throughout. You have to have been authorized to study throughout your education. So you need to have a valid study permit for you to qualify under this pathway. And keep in mind that this does not apply to refugee applicants. So if you have a study permit under your refugee status, that would not make you eligible, because those kind of permits, because your refugee status is not considered a temporary resident status. And you see that one of the other requirements in this pathway is that it has to have been you have to have a valid temporary resident status, so either a visitor, a worker, or a student. The other thing is that you have to be employed in Canada with a valid permit or authorization to work. So if your work permit is if you have an implied status, if you have a work permit, if you've recently graduated as a student and you're working, but you haven't gotten your postgraduate work permit, you will still be eligible to qualify. And there's no clarity as to whether or not the job has to have been NOC 0A or B. From our understanding, from the discussions we've had with my colleagues and also with lawyers, the consensus is that you can be employed with either a NOC 0A or B or C or D. For you just need to be employed. So, but obviously as time goes on, if you get more directions and guidelines and they provide more clarity as to what this means, then we will be able to furnish you with more information and clarify if there's any other thing that is contrary to what I've said. English score, you do have to take the English test and have at least a CLB5, which is good. You have to reside in Canada with temporary resident status, like I said, either a worker, a student, or a visitor. A worker, student, a visitor. Those are what you have to have been physically present in Canada at the time of your permanent residence application. You need to also show that you intend to reside in any other province other than Quebec. You also have to submit the application once the forms are provided. You have to make sure that everything is required, everything that will be required of you, you provide them to immigration. So whatever it is that you have to provide them. There's no details as to the checklist yet, but once that comes out, we'll also provide. But everything you can think about for express entry, proof of work, your valid status, a permit, passport data page, English test, whatever it is, education, credential, transcript, certificate, all of those things are things that you should start getting ready to. We don't know whether they might require police report, but if you can, get your police report as well. You have to have submitted the application under this policy. This policy is going to be available online, so which is a good thing. You have to make sure that you are not inadmissible. So that's that about this first policy. I'm going to talk about the other policies in a different video, and I hope that you find this video very helpful. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more information, up-to-date information about the different immigration policy programs that are available. I do have to say that because this pathway is particularly limited, there's only 40,000 people that they're going to give this PR to. If you are an essential worker, look into the other program, which is about the temporary public policy for granting permanent residence to foreign nationals out with recent Canadian work experience in essential occupation, and that's mostly about healthcare. So if you have your 1-year experience already, I think you should look into that policy rather than fighting with other international students that might qualify for this program. So that's that today. I hope you enjoyed all the information that we put out there. For more information, send us an email if you require particular advice. I will be happy to provide you with information. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye now.